We're on a road show with Rawporter and Niblets at niblets.com. Download Rawporter from the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store.
Hey, it's Kyle. We're on the Rawporter Roadshow on niblets.com talking to startups at the Fort in DC, which is part of Fortified. Is that correct?
Yeah, Fortified Ventures is the venture capital firm that's organizing it.
And we're talking to Sam from Venga. We featured Venga the other day in a pivot that you guys made from the traditional restaurant discovery app to, what would you call it? Restaurant
guest management at this point. So what we do is we enable restaurants to have their own loyalty program and to learn about their guests, how often they're coming in, how much they're spending, and the preferences, things that they buy, etc.
So you essentially switched to target customer from the consumer to the restaurateur?
Well, we were always a tool for restaurateurs. In our previous iteration, we actually did have an app for consumers that was called Venga, that was more about discovery. Now our consumer interface is through a website called myloyalfamily.com, and it's kind of gray labeled for the restaurant.
And so when you guys had the first app, was it more of a open table urban spoon kind of thing, or?
Yeah, the idea was it was for consumers to find out about what's happening around them. So where there are happy hours, special events, dinners, new menu items, etc. at the restaurants that they love.
So what I was talking to Winston about is, of course, there's Open Table and Urban Spoon, but there's, a dozen or so other food app discovery apps. And what it seemed to me was that a lot of them were using APIs from Foursquare and Facebook and Google Places to populate restaurants and get reviews and things like that. And you guys actually talk to restaurateurs on a regular basis, and that's really part of your business, right?
That's right. Yeah, we always try to take the merchant perspective. So the platform that we built for Venga originally allowed restaurants to input this information themselves. So we weren't pulling information from kind of random sources. Instead, the restaurant was going onto our site and putting in what they were doing, and then we were distributing it then to all our apps and websites. Are
you targeting individually on restaurants or chains too, or?
We're targeting basically all restaurants, but our sweet spot is really in the small group restaurants. So anyone that has from 3 to 50 locations is kind of our sweet spot.
Like a Green Turtle kind of thing?
Exactly, yeah. Someone with a dozen locations is kind of right in the middle there.
Awesome. And how did you guys come up with even the original Venga, and then how did you pivot to doing what you do now?
The original idea was that there's so much going on in the e-commerce space for restaurants, but so much of it is not profitable or sustainable for restaurants. So daily deals really don't work out too well for restaurants because their margins just can't support giving 75% off. So we tried to come up with a better way for restaurants to acquire new consumers in a more profitable or sustainable way. With the latest iteration of Venga, we instead try to focus on bringing back customers that already know about and like the restaurant, as opposed to trying to bring in new customers who may have never been to that restaurant before.
I know you guys have a chef board or like a board of advisors that includes some really big names, right?
Yeah, so people like Mike Isabella and Spike Mendelsohn, both of whom were on the show Top Chef and have restaurants here in DC, are part of our advisory board.
And what kind of questions do you shoot to them?
It's always, anytime we have a question about how they would like the product to look, or we ask them to try something. Spike is currently using our program to run a contest. He's opening a new location next month, and he wants to reward his best customers with tickets to the VIP grand opening. So over a 2-month period, we're measuring how much people are spending at his restaurants and rewarding those folks with tickets to his opening.
So the customer wins and the restaurateur wins.
That's the idea. It's a program that works for consumers. It rewards them for their patronage, but also gives the restaurant more information about their guests and be able to use that information to increase visits and spending.
Cool. So let's talk briefly about the startup experience. How long have you been working on Venga totally?
Almost 2 years at this point.
And what did you do before that?
Before that, actually, I had another startup in the e-commerce space. We were a flower subscription service where we would sell flowers to other consumers who would sign up on a subscription basis and get flowers delivered each week or every other week.
Cool. And what happened to that? Did you?
We actually sold that to a larger company that's backed by Battery Ventures.
Wow. And have you known Winston for a long time, and you just did it together?
Actually, we worked together for about 3 years before this at a private equity firm here in DC.
Cool. And then were you bootstrapping it until you got part of became part of the Fort and then Fortify, or?
No, we actually raised money from friends, family, and some strategic investors.
Ooh, and what's it like working here at the Fort?
The Fort's great. It's just a great atmosphere, lots of different startup companies, a lot of resources from our mentors as well as the guys from Fortify.
Awesome. And are you faced with challenges by having a startup that's not in Silicon Valley or New York?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the hardest things about being here in DC is that the environment, both from trying to hire developers all the way up to where we're raising money from, and the types of people who are looking to invest in early stage tech startups makes it a little bit more challenging. The flip side is maybe there aren't quite as many companies who are competing for those same investment dollars.
And are you finding what I'm finding from my trip here and being raised here when I was little? Is that a lot of the tech startups in the DC area are government and military focused, defense stuff? Absolutely,
yeah. So, and the problem is, that's obviously where most of the industry is here. It's government, it's telecom infrastructure, contracting, and so a lot of the angel investors, people who made their money in those industries, and that's what they understand the most. And of course, you want to invest in the industries that you understand and that and so we see a lot of the investment dollars also flowing that way too, and which makes it tough for startups that aren't in that sector.
All right, and finally, final fun question: where did the name Venga come from?
So Venga means "come on, let's go" in Italian and Spanish. So it's like the restaurant saying, "Come on, let's go, join us, welcome."
Rawporter. Shoot and upload your video today and get paid. For more info, hit rawporter.com.